All right. For those that aren't aware, National Novel Writing Month is a ongoing contest. There have been a lot of programs involved in it, some not-for-profits that turned out to be quite heinous. But it's something I've been doing for the last 6 or 7 years pretty consistently, and it is just to write 50,000 words in 1 month, November. So it is called NovNov or NaNoWriMo, if you've heard of that. And this year I wanted to do something a little bit different, so we're going to be doing some technical stuff instead of starting another science fantasy nerd project. I've got too many of those to edit, and one coming out in summer of 26, so I'll talk about that another time. But I am here on DigitalOcean because I am going to talk briefly about creating a cloud-based VM that is relatively low cost on a platform that I like using. So whether you are just getting into technology or if you are a long-term IT person, a long-term cloud person, there is some benefit in using platforms like this outside of the typical AWS, Azure, whatever acronym soup you guys want to throw out. But one of the main things is just setting us up today to get into the stuff that we're going to be doing later. So if you want to follow along, go ahead and go to DigitalOcean.com. I don't have a code or anything to give you free resources, so you might have to pay like $1.30 if you end up leaving one of these VMs running for a couple of days. But we'll also cover that later. So once you're signed in and you have your own account going, what you're going to want to do first is set up a project space. So I'm going to go over here to the left-hand side under projects. I have Hack Cafe still. It's a web-based CTF game that I've been working on. I'll share that another day as well. But under new project, you can go ahead and just create the new thing. So this one is going to be focused on just building VMs, testing out stuff. So whether you're trying to run a new service that you've never played with, download and look at a tool that you found on GitHub, things like that. Or if you're a red teamer and you need to spawn a bunch of infrastructure really quickly, they have an API and a command line side to help with that. But I'm just going to call this NovNov for the month that we're in. I don't really need a description, but I'm going to put one in there anyway. A collection of useful, totally useful resources for the NovNov challenge. And this is more on like the management side. This is just going to be we're just going to put educational purposes. And it's just like creating a resource group or bundling everything together. I don't have any resources to move, but here we are in DigitalOcean. If you have not used the platform before, there is a ton of helpful stuff in here that you could go through the Welcome to DigitalOcean section. You can go down to create something new. If you want to work with AI agents or manage databases or any of that stuff, they have cool utilities in there that I have totally used. Yeah, I've used those. I don't always just come up here to create and then create a new droplet in the DigitalOcean. Droplets are like very tiny virtual machines, tiny little burstable virtual machines you can work with. And I am just going to use my default. You guys can host yours wherever you want. But I like to go into Amsterdam because I think it's fun to just have a virtual machine that is geographically so distant from where I'm at. Operating system, we're going to use a couple different ones throughout the month. We're just going to stick with something fairly familiar for a lot of the people that are probably going to be watching this, which is me tomorrow, probably. We're going to go with CentOS or Community Enterprise Operating System. I won't go into the lore of why that's frustrating at all, but I'm going to keep with the basic size, regular CPU type with an SSD, because that lets us have just this tiny little $4 a month or 0.6 of a penny per hour. It doesn't have a lot of space, so if you're looking to do anything dynamic or a bunch of updates and downloads and data transfers, this probably wouldn't be the one for you. But again, super basic. I just have it on Amsterdam, CentOS, 9-stream, basic shared CPU, regular CPU options, $4 a month. Not going to add any additional storage. I'm not going to do backups. And this time we're going to do a password We'll get into key authentication later. Passwords are not great. A lot of times I've spun up droplets in the DigitalOcean and then get like 10 or so failed attempts within the hour, which is just weird. And we'll talk about why and how that happens probably tomorrow. I don't know. Very loose schedule for this month. I just want to get the words down. So, last bit is always got to give it a name. So we're going to call this NovNov1. Give the NovNov tag so that I can look back later through this and remember why I made all of these. CentOS for the operating system. Tags are not super important. They're as important as you want them to be. So I will typically just throw in some stuff to help me remember why I used it. I'm going to throw that tag on there so that if I forget to delete it, I will remember to delete it next time I come in. But then I can just go ahead and click Create Droplet. It's going to take a couple of seconds. But depending on what operating system you're in, this is where you're going to want to pull up your terminal or your PowerShell or your whatever. I'm on Windows right now, so I'm just going to use the Windows key X to open up the power menu and then hit A to open up terminal as an admin. Yes, it is frustrating that Windows 11 is now calling it terminal as the centralized thing instead of PowerShell or command line. Now you have terminal that you can launch those through. But I digress. If you haven't heard me talk before, you will learn quickly, if you haven't already, that I have the ADHD real bad. So now we are up on our terminal. I've got NovNov and its IP address right there, so I can just double check real quick with a ping. It's a little frustrating sometimes, but I always double check with a ping before I try anything else, because if you can't ping it, you can't do any of the other cool stuff a lot of times when we're working with these online platforms. So my ping is timing out still. I could do some fancier stuff. I did watch a video by Zach Hill, IT Career Questions. I might link his in here because ping is super neat. He has a great video on how to ping. But that's not what we're here to talk about. So I did type that correctly, but it timed out. So we'll just go ahead and wait a little bit, try again. Now it's live. And the reason why I like to do ping for that is because my next step is I'm going to SSH into this droplet so that I can run some Linux stuff from a Windows interface. And I hate it when SSH times out and you're just waiting and you're like, did this work or did I mess something up? And then you have to remember what you set the password to because they don't tell you. And now here I am in CentOS root at NovNov1. I'm going to go ahead and clear that screen. Show a little hostname CTL. I always recommend running hostname CTL or uname --a, whichever one you're more comfortable with, especially when you are remoting from a terminal, just to make sure you're in the right place. It might just be my paranoia that makes me do that, though. But I know where I'm at, I know what I'm using, and I know that I'm a virtual machine, which is just always fun to me. So I am on here. Very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new user and then give them administrative privileges so that I don't have to sign into my root account tomorrow when we get here. So I'm going to go ahead and use the user add command. There are other ways to do this. It's just the way I like to do it. Group. What does Cent call it? Is it wheel? Where? Comment. Jeff Brackenberg. M? I think that's right. It would have been cool if I double checked my notes before this. If you guys haven't picked up on it yet, this project is very, very starter training wheels. Not a whole lot of audio or video quality. Some of the days might be better than others, but let's go ahead and see if that worked. Nope, we failed. Let's read through why. That's the most important thing when you are working on newer systems or trying things out on the fly. If you ever get an error, double check why. So Let's see. Invalid option was the A. Oh, right, because I don't have to add group. I don't have groups yet. I was thinking of user mod. So let's just do -G for groups. And then we've got C for comment, which is where we put our name usually. And then M for create home, so that I make my home directory. You could do -P for password here, but that's not great for reasons that you guys could find pretty easy on the internet, or you could try it out yourself and see why. Let's go ahead and hit enter. Looks like it worked, so now we're going to pass WD Jeff K, and I will set my password for that user really quick. Got that updated. Really quick way to make sure you're in the right groups. You could just do groups and then the username. Jeff K is in Jeff K and wheel. So if I guessed that correctly, I can never remember which Linux systems are sudo and which ones are wheel and which ones are the other thing. But double check, I can just exit out and then SSH in again, but instead of using root, I'm going to use Jeff K. And there we go. Now I am Jeff K at NovNov1. So that is going to be the entirety of what I do today. I know, not a whole lot. All we did was create a droplet in the DigitalOcean, SSH into it, and then create a user. But a lot of these bare bones basics of technology and running through this stuff is going to be very helpful later. The more familiar you are with commands and how to find help, the better. So I'm going to exit out of my session, exit out of my terminal, and then really quick, if you do not have the time to or money to leave this running, I know it's only $4 a month, but everybody's situation is different. If you need to blow up NovNov1, you can go in here to the 3 dots, destroy, and then this right here is how you can permanently delete that droplet to stop the, billing. I'm not going to delete this one because I want to come back and use it again tomorrow. But you guys would totally never just bomb this into submission, right? I can trust the internet to leave up this droplet overnight. Oh, don't worry. I'll be checking on it.